There's a purity, there's an essence to who you are before the world imprinted its shoulds on you. I look back at myself, and you can look back at yourself at 4, 5, 6, even 7 years old. I used to get told, you're too much, you're too fancy, you're too extra. Even as a 5-year-old, I was very much into like my pink little onesie outfit and my little patent leather shoes. That was my natural expression. But then I went into a world that said, it's not safe to be that. Or you need to be more calm, you need to be more humble, you need to be all of these things. And I unknowingly created a personality that was not aligned to my essence, to who I truly am here to be.
Welcome to Rise, Shine, and Redefine, the podcast where entrepreneurship meets purpose. I'm Karen Meininger, and I'll help you create an authentic and powerful business. Let's dive in. Not do it on the equipment. Okay. Go.
Woo! There we go.
Party time. Let's go. All right. Let's also not do the.
Yes.
Here,
good,
hold
good
it
call.
over there. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rise, Shine, and Redefine podcast. I'm Karen Meininger, your host, and we are here with one of my favorite people, Makhosi. Woo, woo.
We are
here.
celebrating being together.
And our essences and our goddess. Like, she looks so beautiful today.
And your hair is giving goddess.
Yes.
We are goddess vibes today.
So Makhosi helps thought leaders, 7- and 8-figure business owners really get out of their own way and help them really find their freedom and purpose of creating their empire in a way that feels so magical and good for them that you can't not want to work with her. I mean, she is just a magical unicorn in all of her essence. And I am so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So on the way here, we had such good conversation in the car, and we were talking about the difference of being in harmony with strategy and the inner work. And it's not just having strategy, but having like aligned strategy in a way that just lights you up so much that you're like obsessed with your life. You wake up and you're like, yes, I'm doing the thing that I'm meant to do. But a lot of times, as you know, the entrepreneur world can be really draining and it can burn us out, and we lose the passion and the freedom of even the reason why we started. So would you share a little bit about what are some ways that people can get really in alignment in their strategy, but also doing the inner work, right? Because a lot of times it's like, I've done all the inner work. I've done all the things. I've learned all the content. I've hid behind learning enough, but I'm still not aligned. So what are some ways that we can really just get aligned?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I think people struggle with when it comes to finding alignment is that they stay in the inner world. And you can't really find alignment until you have some experiences and you get some data, you get some feedback from the world. And I tend to work with a lot of people who are very much, overthinkers, overplanners, constantly binging and learning. And that's a beautiful thing. And also it needs to be applied and tested. So I always encourage my clients to really explore, experiment with different things, and pay very close attention to what is happening with your energy as you're doing different things. Noticing, when I did this thing that so-and-so leader told me that I had to do, what happened to my energy? Was I drained or was I expanded? Was I lit up? And often what I think a lot of people don't realize is even when you're trying something new that you're resistant to trying, your energy speaks volumes. So for years, I resisted being on stages, speaking, being on camera. And yet, anytime I actually pushed through that initial resistance and I did it, on the other side of it, I would feel more energized. I would feel activated, like something was aligned about it, even though I had resistance to doing it.
Yeah. And that's how you create bravery and confidence, right? It's like leaning into the thing that terrifies you, the thing that's resisting. Resistance isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Think of like going to the gym. We need resistance to build the muscle, but it's like, oh, we get to lean in and do the thing we're terrified of doing, right? and you do it and you compound it. What happens? You become more confident and you start knowing your magic and who you are and how you show up in the world and what your uniqueness is. So beautiful. And now you're like a master speaker. You did the thing that scared you.
I did, but also I think that there's so many clues in our childhood as well. Usually when I'm working with people, I find that there's a purity, there's an essence to who you are before the world imprinted its shoulds on you. I look back at myself and you can look back at yourself at 4, 5, 6, even 7 years old and get a lot of insight into who you truly are here to be. Most of us don't realize like we're walking around with borrowed masks from other people of, oh, you are too much. I used to get told, you're too much. You're too fancy. You're too extra, right? Because I was very much, even as a 5-year-old, I was very much into like my pink little onesie outfit and my little patent leather shoes. And that was my natural expression. But then I went into a world that said, it's not safe to be that. Or, you need to be more calm. You need to be more humble. You need to be, all of these things. And I unknowingly created a personality that was not aligned to my essence, to who I truly am here to be. So when we're trying to find alignment, it's less about going and adding and doing things. It's more about letting go of those versions of ourselves that we thought we should be or that we thought we had to be. And it happens in really subtle ways, really, really subtle ways. And most entrepreneurs that I come across don't realize that they built a business on that facade, that they built a business from that mask, because most of us, when we create a business, we're doing so from survival. Most of us are doing so because maybe we came from poverty, or maybe we, were in corporate. This was me. I was in corporate, became a mom, and I was like, I just can't keep dropping my son off at daycare every day. I just want to be with him, right? And so it was this like do or die type of feeling. And it was like, okay, well, who do I have to be in order to make this work? I will become whoever I need to be to make that work. When really the shift into ultimately like the legacy and the freedom that you really want to be experiencing, that you built your business for in the first place, is because you want to be able to be yourself. And being yourself, to me, is like the most profitable thing that you can do. But it takes a lot of courage and bravery, to your point.
Yeah, because society tells us we need to be a certain way. Our parents dim our light to fit in what is their comfort in their box of, well, this is how it should be, versus it like removing the shoulds, right? We're in such a should yourself society. Like you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And then when you're like, but that doesn't feel good in my body, but you're doing it anyway, what happens? We're misaligned. We're not in that alignment anymore. And we tend to contract. And when you're showing up in the world in a contracted body, in a contracted space, how are you serving your magic? Right? You're not.
No.
You're not. So what I heard a lot too is just coming back from the childhood. And if anyone was like, oh, I was too much, or I wasn't heard, or I wasn't seen, it's like, let's come back, right? This is how I help my clients. Let's reparent that part of you that needs that nourishment so you can move through. You're not trying to get rid of anything. right? You're like, how can I use this to really expand what my magic is? How can I get rid of whatever shame I'm holding on to from my past and use it as a superpower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were also talking about how like your niche in business is you. And I would love to talk more about that. Like, how can we niche us as our own magic and our own person and our own brand instead of being stuck into, oh, well, I can only master one thing and only come to me for this one thing, when you're a multi-passionate human being and you want to share your love and your gifts and all of it. So what are some ways that we can really niche ourselves?
Yeah. What we were sharing earlier, as we were on our way over here having a conversation, was that most people get really stuck in the niching part, either at the beginning, because it's really hard to niche down because you think, oh, well, I want to help everyone, or I can help everyone. And that is not the best, because you struggle to get any momentum, because when you're just kind of vanilla, you're not really landing with anyone, right? You're not potent enough to really impact anyone enough for them to want to work with you or want to see you in a way that stands out, right? This is becoming a bigger problem because every single day there's more people on social media. There's more people opening businesses. There's more options, especially as people are moving out of corporate and into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
I think that trend is actually going to continue. The other part is that when you solely specialize, when you are just like a niche, and that's what you build your entire empire on, is that if and when you evolve, it becomes a gilded cage. It becomes very difficult to see how you could get out of it or how you could move any differently, because the minute that you stop doing that specific thing, people lose connection with you and just fall away. Now, that's going to happen anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the degree to which you're able to shift and pivot and evolve is really dependent on how you niche down. And there's lots of different ways that you can do it. So the most common way is to niche down on what you are an expert in, right? Niche down on, podcasting, niche down on Instagram, niche down in, managing a dental office.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way. We can also niche down on the outcome and the problems that we're solving, right? That journey that we take someone on. That's, to me, a little bit more expansive if you're multi-passionate, because what you can do is you can combine the different things that you're interested in or that help you to create that result for someone. You can combine those things into your own signature method, your own signature vehicle, basically. And you're selling people not just on the result, but this unique combination of things that help them to create that result, right? One example that I love to play with, and it is not my business to be in fashion or style, but I do have a lot of clients who are interested in that aspect of me because I share very small amounts of that, but it is a part of me helping them to establish themselves as like a legend in their industry. Like how you present yourself helps you to be more magnetic, helps you to feel connected with yourself, makes you stand out as a unique being, right? The other way that I love is to niche down on yourself, right? And that doesn't mean that you need to share everything. I'm a very private person, very private, very, very private person. And also in my life, my son and my husband, they don't really want to be public like the way that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have certain aspects of my life that I just simply don't share, but I'm open to sharing stuff that doesn't make sense.
I love things that don't make sense.
Things that don't make sense. Things that don't even necessarily like fit in it fit in my brand. But that give you a little bit of sense of who I am, what I care about, what my values are. And I have people who have worked with me simply because they resonated with one of those values, right? We were on the same plane. I personally think the way that we're going, that is like, this is one of the most critical moments, I'm going to say over the last like 6 months, and it's only going to get louder, where people are feeling very value driven. We're seeing like boycotts of companies. We are seeing individual personal brands not speaking on various things. And what's happening, even if they're not aware, is that when you are neutral on everything, you don't land with your people, right? So a lot of people are afraid to really lean into who they are and what they stand for. It doesn't mean you have to like speak about everything, but people are starting to feel this like, I'm looking for resonance. I have all these options. You got to think about it. We go to a grocery store, there are about 20 different ketchup options, right?
Yeah.
So we're not just buying ketchup anymore. We are buying something that resonates with us. We are buying based off of our identity. And we connect with other people from our identity, from what we value, from how we want to see ourselves. And so these things that we think like, oh, this doesn't make any sense in my brand. This doesn't make sense for, the work that I'm doing. But maybe it does resonate with the identity of your person. Like, we're drinking champagne.
Cheers. Yes. I was like, when do we get to drink this?
We're drinking some champagne, right? And, I have a lot of people who resonate with me. Probably you are one of them, who resonates with me because even though I am spiritual, very spiritual person, number one, I'm very grounded in like real life. I'm like, I want to build businesses. I want to, affect change.
I mean, you guys, she's a real person. I'm like, what? You're like a real person?
I'm like an actual human being. But also I'm very much into luxury. Like, that is part of my thing. And I'm also into fashion and beauty and a spa. I love a spa day, right? And that's not everyone's taste, right? But for my people, they're like, oh, I want to enjoy more of the soft life. Like, I want to have more luxury in my life. I have a whole thing on my definition of luxury.
Wait, can we talk about that? Because let's pause there and talk about
We're going to come back around.
Yes. Wait, what is your definition of luxury? Because I have a feeling we are probably on the exact same page in so many ways, but I want to hear your version of luxury.
Yeah, I think the luxury marketing that most of us are familiar with doesn't necessarily reflect what real luxury is. So I go back to the ancient meaning of luxury, and luxury was a very spiritual thing. Temples were considered luxury. It really has to do with something that is out of the ordinary, extraordinary something, right? And it's also a choice to participate in that luxury, right? It's not something that is a must-have every single day thing. Most of us have gotten caught up in the status aspect of luxury, which is one part of it. But it also there's an energy to it, right? And that is reflective of the identity of the person. I think a lot of people think like, oh, if you're luxurious, it has to look a very specific way. And it doesn't always have to look that way. It has to do with, for that category, for that industry, for that space, for that person, right? Is this something that is extraordinary? That is what gives it that luxury sense. It's not meant for everyone. Luxury is not meant to be like vanilla and be something that everybody wants. It also typically will have a quality of rarity. Doesn't always have to have that, but often a quality of rarity. It could be something that is like more cutting edge, pioneering, the first of its kind, right? I consider my work to be luxury work, mainly because it's first of its kind.
Yeah.
You don't have someone with as much initiation as I've had in the spiritual space, bringing that into the business space. That's not really a common thing. I could go on and on, but.
Okay. Yeah. And, you know, the way I see luxury too is like, how do you have luxury with depth? Right. And I mean, I even asked ChatGPT, I'm like, how would you describe me? She's like, luxury with depth. And I'm like, yes. I feel it. And right. And I think it's one of the issues that I feel is an issue with luxury is people, like you were saying with status. It's like,
superficial.
I want luxury to be perceived a certain way. It's like, oh, I want the Lamborghini. Why do you want the Lamborghini? Right? Do you want the Lamborghini because you just really love what that car is about? Or is it because when you get in that Lamborghini, people are perceiving you in a very specific way that brings in this worthiness of like you having value? And I know we were talking about values of your business, but why do you want the luxury? And it's okay to just want it because you want it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I want just because I want it. And there's full permission to have those things of what you want just because you want it. But really going deeper of what is luxury for you, right? Like for me, luxury, like it used to be like, I loved a good Chanel bag. Now I'm like, I don't invest in Chanel bags. I invest in personal growth. Like that is like what lights me up so much. So luxury can I think it's a feeling. Yeah. Right? It's like, how do you want to feel in this rare moment or in this luxurious place? I was on a cruise looking, we rented an over the water cabana and I was like, oh my God, I'm like living my vision board right now. And it wasn't even about, it was a feeling. Right?
It wasn't even about, is this Instagrammable? Right?
Right.
Like, sure, you could take a picture and share it on Instagram. One of the things, I love that you bring in this depth piece. I'm a very deep person. I don't do shallow or superficial very well. But one thing that I also explore with the luxury that I experience is like, if no one saw this, if no one knew that I owned this, would I still want it?
Yes.
Right? And the things that I own, there are some that are considered to most people like luxury, you know, my YSL bag, which I love. That's considered luxury to most. But there's also other things that no one would even know are technically luxury, right? Because I'm resonating with it, not off the status, but off of other aspects, right? The craftsmanship of it. I love it. I love something that's like unique and handmade. That's always something that feels really good to me. My wedding ring, like the stone in my wedding ring is a zoltanite, which is an extremely rare stone. Most people look at it and they're like, oh, that's a really pretty like yellow diamond. No one even, they're like a zoltanite. What is that?
Yeah.
But it was something special to me, right? And so I actually think we're seeing this massive transformation in what we think luxury is. To me now, and a lot of my people, luxury is time. Time freedom, right?
Time is your most valuable asset.
Yes. It's the ability. It's not just like having a pile of designer bags anymore. Now it's like, how can I create the freedom to have the flexibility in who I work with? I want to be able to have the luxury of choosing my clients instead of being in pick me energy and I'm just taking whoever comes, right? I want to have the luxury of, you know, choosing which podcasts I'm on and which stages that I'm doing, not because I have to do it for money and survival, but because I'm genuinely inspired by that person or by the people who are going to be affected by it, right? To me, that's luxury going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sense of freedom, right? And it's like, what I tell my clients is, how can you feel free right now?
Yes.
Because that, instead of the pick me energy, right? If you're already feeling free, if you want that 8-figure business, how are you showing up in the world right now, right? Be, do, have, right? We've done this concept over and over again, but it's so true. It's like, if you had the 8-figure business, right? Or 9-figure, whatever the goal or dream is financially, it's like, what is that going to give you? What is a deeper desire of having the legacy and the legend and the luxury? And it's like, oh, I just want to feel good, right? That sense of freedom. And I'm going to digress a second because this just happened to me, is I started insourcing freedom like now, like showing up as the 8-figure business owner. And this feeling is almost the same as anxiety. It's like, oh, wait, do I have capacity to even hold this feeling in my body forever? Right. And then we get in an upper limit. And it's like, oh, I don't know if I can keep feeling this, because now it becomes uncomfortable because it's not our emotional home anymore. We're like, wait, but I'm used to living in anxiety and pressure and all these things that are normal for me. And now I get to feel amazing and good and free. But how do I keep holding this capacity for the freedom in a way that doesn't scare you? Right. It's like, our brain wants to find what's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. It's programmed to that. And it's like, wait, what is our essence? What is our essence of luxury, freedom, safety?
Yeah.
Right. It's all those things that really we want. It's not the tangible.
No.
It's the inner.
No. And what I can confidently say after so many years of working with high 6-figure, 7, 8-figure plus founders is that the energy that you are creating with is the energy that you will experience the success with. So if you kept building an 8-figure business or a 7-figure business from this place of, when I get there, then I will have freedom, what happens is that the freedom never comes because you didn't create the business with the freedom, right? So whenever I'm working with clients, now it's us coming back to, okay, you get to be in freedom now.
Yes.
Okay. You get to be in that now. So what does your business look like that enables freedom now? It doesn't have to be, well, I just wouldn't be working at all and da-da-da-da-da. And that feels very anxiety inducing because you went from point A to point Z, right? But it's like 1% more freedom, right? That upper limit that you're talking about is so dangerous.
Yes.
Dangerous for us because we see how good it can get. And that can be really, really scary for us because we're like, oh, who am I to even hold 8 figures? Who am I to lead a team
That's right.
of hundreds? Who am I to, be seen on all the media and stages and blah, blah, blah. And that feels really scary. And when we go that far and we're trying to, go from A to Z like that, we ultimately end up people will say it's self-sabotaging. It's not really self-sabotaging. It's self-preserving. Our ego goes into like a protection mode of, oh my gosh, that bigness is really scary. So we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen. So what I always encourage my clients to do, and it's very scary for high achievers, is to actually allow it to be slow. Give yourself permission for it to be small, 1% more every day. How can you be in 1% more freedom today? How can you be in 1% more luxury today? How can you be in, 1% more self-worth today? And over time, that compounds, and it doesn't take a long time. We think like, oh, I don't want it to be small because I want a quantum leap. I want to have this like huge breakthrough. I want to go from, 6 figures to 7 figures this year. And you can absolutely do that, especially when you create the internal capacity to hold it.
Yes.
So there's 2 ways that we can evolve. 99% of people get caught up in trying to catch up their internal capacity, how they see themselves, how they operate in the world, trying to catch that up to the success that they want, right? They just keep trying to get the success and then I'll become the person, right? This is that be, do, have thing, right? The other option is that you can become it first, be that version of yourself 1% more every day. And this creates essentially like a vacuum where you are so aligned to a certain reality that it just comes.
Yeah.
Right? That people just seek you out. I experienced this firsthand. The way that I built my business was not at all how I planned my business. It was just who I was being started to attract a certain type of person or a certain caliber of person. And I was sharing with you earlier, it's like, actually, I've had to kind of catch up to how people were seeing me, and I hadn't yet seen myself in a certain light. I saw myself as like purely the spiritual leader. I hadn't yet fully embraced the business leader aspect and integrated both of them. So it's been a process now of really integrating that like 1% more. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I have 2 bachelor's degrees in business and marketing management. And I've been in business for like 20 years in all different aspects. But you get amnesia about yourself.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. I create a badass list, right? Of just all the things that I've accomplished because we forget, right? We don't celebrate ourselves. We get I'm just finished reading The Gap and the Gain, right? We get ourselves in the gap being like, what the be do have, same thing. It's like, oh, well, I'm here. I want to be there and I'm not there yet. So therefore I'm going to be in comparisonitis and I'm going to be in self-doubt and I'm going to be in perfectionism and procrastination and feel bad about myself. And right, it snowballs where it's like, if I can go back to my badass list and look at it and be like, okay, how far have I come? Let's celebrate my wins. But I don't look at the list as me reading it. I look at it as if somebody else was reading it. And I was like, okay, if I'm reading this about somebody else, what am I thinking? And I'm like, okay, and it's not necessarily about a certification or, some kind of degree or how much school you've had. Why do people work with you? Why do they come to you?
Oh, almost always for who I am as a person.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Like we get so caught up on the messaging and like the funnels and the nourishing and the email. You have to have the email list and you have to nourish and you have to do all these things. But when you're being, right, the version of you that is magical now because you have a choice to be magical right now, people are going to start coming in. It doesn't matter. Friendships, relationships, clients, whatever it may be. It's like people aren't working you because of that message you put on Instagram. There's a whole energetic vibe to your brand, right? And that is why people come. So it is, how do we be that version right now? Like you said, what's that 1% that you're going to wake up today and be like, this is a 1% shift that I'm making, and it compounds over time. It's the same thing with confidence, right? It's like the more we compound bravery, the more confident we become. It's like you got to keep doing the shift and you have to want to change and be that version of you. I woke up, I don't know, like a month or 2 ago, and I decided every day I'm going to be obsessed with my life. I'm going to be obsessed with my life and all of its glory and magic. And even when things suck, I'm going to be obsessed with it because I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow and I'm going to become better for it. And I have a 7-year-old and I want to show him what living is, not being in this hustle. And right, we're in this whole hustle culture and this comparisonitis and like, oh my God. But instead of looking at, oh, she did it, look at it. If she did it, so can I. Right. And you get to be in your own beautiful magic all of the time if you choose to be. And so what is that 1% shift that you can start doing today that's going to take you to the moon, right?
Yeah.
We got to fly. We got to fly if we want to. But yeah, it's that energetic, right? I'm a client of Makhosi's, and I was drawn to, I heard her on a podcast and I'm like, how can I work with her?
Yeah.
Right?
And honestly, I think that so many of us, when we think about business, we think of it backwards. We think that business is the KPIs, the funnel, the branding, the website, the content. To me, all of those things are just amplifiers of an energy.
Yes.
If you are building those things on misaligned energy, what do you get? More misalignment, right?
Yes.
If you have a funnel that's reaching people, but they are misaligned people, you are just going to get more misaligned people. So to me, this is 80% energetic, 20% strategic, because once you're clear on like what your energy is. So for example, I've gotten very clear that I am at my best when I am working with either one person or a small group. I'm really great on stages and podcasts, et cetera, but in my work, I'm really at my best when I have small numbers. Like my business I've never had a huge business actually. Like the most clients I've served in a year is maybe like 150, 200 clients. And even that didn't feel the best because of the way that I structured it. So when you are clear on like, oh, I'm actually at my best when I go deep and long.
Yeah.
Okay. That like, it's like every year when I'm with someone, I'm getting better. I'm compounding. I'm understanding them better. I'm understanding their nuances. And so every single year that they're with me, they actually get more value from me and they learn how to ask better questions from me.
That's right.
Right. And then it's just about, okay, well, what strategies support that? What structures allow for that to happen? And then you build the business on that. So it doesn't mean that if you're feeling misaligned right now in your business that you have to burn everything down and start over. But what it does mean is that you want to think about what is energetically aligned for you, and that from this moment, you start creating from an aligned place. And then over time, it's like you build up and everything else falls away, right? Instead of just burning it all down. Sometimes that does happen. Sometimes you do have to do that if you wait. I see people wait a really long time and get in a position where they have to do that in order to make it happen. And it can be either way is scary sometimes, but it's like, what is it costing you to stay in misalignment? That cost compounds.
Oh yeah.
Every year.
And so how does somebody know when they're in energetic alignment? I know there's like an intuition and there's an inner knowing, but right, we're so pulled by all the different societal norms and frameworks and boxes and glasses and right, it's like we have so many filters on and really only 1% of what we think is our own, right? Like we're consumed by so much content and so much information that it's like, I feel like it almost creates confusion.
Yeah.
Right. So how can we get more in energetic alignment? What would that look like?
So there's two pathways that I focus on when we're finding energetic alignment. The first is your body, your internal body. It's challenging for us sometimes because we have emotions and emotions add a layer. We want to pay attention to underneath the emotions. Mm-hmm. So what is happening to our energy, not are we happy or sad about something? We want to pay attention to when I'm working with these people, am I increasing in energy or am I drained in energy? Am I losing track of time? It's always usually a really good indicator. Do I lose sense of time where either it feels like it's moving super fast or it's just completely fell? I have no idea where time went. Yeah. That's also usually a good sign, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea how long we've been talking.
I know.
Right?
Wait. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I think we're almost out of time.
We're almost out of time. So you see what I'm saying? Like that's how we know something about this is aligned, right? And we want to start to get clear on what is it? Because sometimes we automatically make certain things mean that this is aligned and it's not, but there's a characteristic about it. Like when I'm speaking, almost always there's some alignment there. But I want to also pay attention to the nuances of who am I speaking with? Okay, when I speak with these people, that feels more expansive than when I'm speaking with these people. And over time, you refine and get more and more clarity on what's energetically aligned and how you can filter that in different ways, how you can repackage that gift, that genius.
Yes.
The other piece is understanding the difference between internal and external resistance, because being energetically aligned in yourself is cool, but we want to also be energetically aligned with the flow of the universe, like in like the direction that things are moving, the trending of how things are going. I say flow. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
The trending of the universe, right? And so we want to pay attention to not giving too much credit to, I feel, internal resistance to doing this thing, but paying attention to where is there external resistance to me doing something and where are there external openings for me to do something. So for example, I don't have the biggest following on Instagram.
No, you do. She's got like 18,
almost
20,000, 30,000. Oh.
I've got almost 30,000. Well, I did have 30,000. I've lost a lot of followers in the last couple of years because I've been really leaning into
she's
certain
got
things.
5-digit followers.
Okay, 30,000. But I mean, it's not as big as some, right? However, when I look at the people who are in that, like the people that I've attracted, many of them have way bigger followings, some of them in the millions, and they only follow 1,000 people or they only follow 2,000 people and I'm one of them, right? I can see, there's like a specific resonance with this type of person where we are clicking. There's not a lot of external resistance there. And sometimes it's just a matter of where we are limiting ourselves, but also like the universe sometimes gives us clues that says, hey, here are your people, or hey, you're really good at this. People are seeking you out for something, right? Paying attention to where is there less external resistance. But you got to be careful because you want to pay attention. I can't remember who it was. She was talking about how she submitted proposals for her book and was rejected 100 times. Most people would say, this is external resistance. It is external resistance. However, the inner energetic alignment was showing her that actually, even though she hated the rejection, it was aligned for her to keep doing this, for her to keep pursuing it, and then the door opened. So it is a balance of understanding what is happening externally in the world and the blocks showing up, because sometimes things just are not aligned for us and we keep trying to force those things to happen. Like me with trying to get things to sell at low ticket. I really struggle to sell low ticket stuff, but $100,000 offer, way easier for me to sell.
Yeah.
It's very weird. But also
that's alignment, right? Because now the right person sees that value and how you can actually transform their life, right?
Instead of trying to fight and convince people to see the value in what I'm doing. Yeah.
Right. There's no convincing you. I'm sure $100,000 offer. It's easy
for the right person, right?
That's right.
For most people, they would think that that's crazy, but my client is not most people.
Yeah.
Right. My client is she's 1% of the 1%.
That's right.
Right. She shows up very specifically and very differently in the world. And so it is a balance of learning to tune into your own energy and also being able to understand what is happening externally and not be attached to how you think things should be.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
Because when you think, I should sell low ticket, or, I should be a coach, or, I have to build an agency, right? Those are ways that you're limiting all of the other possibilities that actually might be more aligned for who you're here to be and your gifting and your values and, the max potential that you can bring into the world.
Yeah. And we have so much noise, right?
Yeah.
It keeps coming back to the shoulds. And I like to call it yak, like YAK. You always know. So the woman you're talking about who just kept putting her book out there, she knew. It's like trusting the intuition and the inner knowing. And I think a lot of times, like you said, the external like blocks us and gets really blurry. And we get so caught up in what others are thinking about us. It's like, oh, well, that person rejected me, so therefore I'm no longer worthy.
Yeah.
Right. And we get kind of caught up in all of that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this conversation to end. This is so good. I feel like we could go for like hours and hours and hours.
We won't.
We won't. But thank you so much.
Cheers.
For coming here. And I'm just so honored for you to be on my show. I'm so incredibly grateful, and it feels energetically aligned.
Yes.
In all the best ways possible. So where can people find you if they want to work with you? Where do you hang out? Where are you?
These days, I'm mostly still on Instagram at The Royal Shaman. I am building on YouTube as well, The Royal Shaman.
Yes, you should all subscribe.
Yes.
I did. It's
my
so
podcast
good.
as well, currently Euphoric Evolution, and my website, theroyalshaman.com. I'm basically the Royal Shaman everywhere. So that makes it really, really easy to find me.
Amazing. So just right before we go, if you could give one tangible move that somebody can make listening to start doing the 1%, what would that be?
I would say find a way to express your unique essence 1% more, because that is your center of magnetism. It is the thing that's going to draw people to you. And often it is a part of yourself that you have suppressed, that you perhaps maybe judged as not good enough, as not important. And the more that you show that in tangible ways, bring it out in your content, bring it out through the language that you use, show it in the way that you dress yourself. Focus on bringing that unique essence out more and more every single day. And that's really your brand.
Yes.
That's really just like what your brand is.
I love that.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Rise, Shine, and Redefine. If this episode resonated with you, please hit subscribe and leave a review. It means the world to me. If you want more daily inspiration or any behind the scenes, follow me on Instagram at Karen Meininger for daily inspiration and behind the scenes. Until then, keep rising, keep shining, and keep redefining your journey.